displaying the glory of God's creation by exploring America one park at a time. Welcome to Parking Full Time with Big Dave, the park's professor. First hole. The par and distance are at the top of the screen. This is a short hole, but it's also a pretty tight hole. It's a slight dogleg right, and so you're going to need a left to right disc flight to get up here close to the basket in only one throw. There is dense woods on either side of this rather tight fairway, and therefore if you miss your line just by a little bit, that's going to be punished severely with some dense rough. There's the first basket, and there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. Now we break out into the open for the longest hole on the front nine. The second hole plays across a wetland, and so it's technically a forced water carry, even though the water levels are sufficiently low that there's no way you're going to lose your disc here. The carry across the wetland is slightly shorter over to the right than it is to the left, and therefore I recommend a left to right disc flight to give yourself the best chance to clear the wetland. I want to welcome you back to Parking Full Time. I am Big Dave, the park's professor. We are at Karohl County Park. We are in Beavercreek, Ohio, and therefore we are on the east side of Dayton, Ohio. This park is owned and maintained by Greene County. We're coming up to the basket. This is a very open area around the basket and a very open hole, so if you can throw it far enough, you should end up with a birdie on this hole. Now we head back into the woods for the third hole, which is longer but almost as tight as the first hole. The left side of the fairway is a little more open, and so I recommend a left to right disc flight to give yourself the best chance of missing these large trees. If you get a bad ricochet off of one of these trees, your disc is going to land in some dense woods, and that's going to be a tough recovery. Most of these holes have two tees, and those are the two distances I'm showing you at the top of the screen. All of these video clips start at the back tee. As we get up close to the basket, you can see just how many trees there are in front of the basket, and therefore just how tight the line is. There's the third basket and the view back to the tee. The fourth hole plays around this cluster of trees that is dead ahead. There is room to go around the cluster on either side. We're going to go around on the right side, which is shorter but also tighter. The option going around the left side is quite a bit longer, but it's also much more open. This hole is a dogleg right, and so we're going to dogleg right to get to the basket, which is just off to the right here. This is a really interesting hole. It forces you to pick a line and then execute a throw. There's the fourth basket, and there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. The fifth hole has a very wide fairway, but it plays into the southeast corner of the park. The park boundary on the south is just to the right, and the park's east boundary is just beyond the basket, so you don't want to miss to the right, and you don't want to miss long. But there's plenty of room short and left, and overall this is really a pretty easy hole. I captured this video on Monday, October the 28th, and it was a beautiful afternoon with temperatures in the mid-60s when I came here. I only saw a couple of other people in this park. I saw some walkers and I saw two other people playing disc golf. So this course doesn't seem to be heavily used in spite of the fact that it's a solid recreational course. After several longer holes comes a trio of short holes. This hole plays out of a tight chute of trees. There's a tree tight on either side right in front of the tee, but after that this hole really opens up, and you have some wide gaps to work with to get around the trees right in front of the basket. Overall, this is a pretty easy hole, and with an accurate throw, that should set up a birdie opportunity. There's the sixth basket, and there's the view back to the tee. The seventh hole is a sharp dogleg right. It's almost a 90-degree dogleg, and there is dense woods on the inside of the dogleg. So you don't want to try to cut the dogleg, and you don't want to miss right. After we get around the dogleg, you're going to see that there is a tight gap between the trees to get directly to this basket. I highly recommend that you walk at least the first half of the hole before you throw. Even if you do that, it's going to be really tough to curve your disc just the right amount to get through that gap, and therefore this is a pretty hard hole. There's the view back to the tee. The 8th hole is the last of the trio of short holes. It's a very open hole, almost a prairie-style hole. There are a couple of small trees that guard the front left side of the basket, and so you want to use a right-to-left disc flight to get around those trees and get the best angle of attack on this basket. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for watching. Parking full time, it wouldn't be anything without the people who watch. I realize that every day, and I thank you every day. Also, as a reminder, I do not make any monetary compensation for anything that I do for this project, and therefore the only thing that I get for writing these course reviews and doing these videos are your likes, your subscribes, your views, and your comments, and I do appreciate all of those things. The 9th hole is of course the last hole on the front 9. It's similar in spirit to the 5th hole. It has a wide fairway, but there is dense woods to the right and dense woods just beyond the basket, and so you don't want to miss right and you don't want to miss long. Overall, this is a good solid course. There aren't any really memorable holes on this course, but there are a lot of really solid holes. I enjoyed my round here, and as long as your expectations aren't too high, you'll probably enjoy your round here as well. There's the 9th basket, and there's a view back to the tee from behind the basket. That is the end of the front 9. I will see you on the back 9. Until then, have a great afternoon, take care, and Lord bless.